Hello there, loves. Oh, I might move that out of my way. Um, wow, it's been a while since I've done a live readings, that is. So let's put it out there that the internet's going to stabilize nicely and that you'll be able to see me quite well, and that I'll receive your comments pretty early. We have always an interesting journey with Facebook Lives when it comes to live readings. Has a little bit to do with the energy. Um, yeah, Spirit says more on that later. Hi, I'm Dana. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a spirit channel or psychic medium is also a term that's bandied around. I use both, either or, because it's an intuitive experience. So whatever it is that shows up is what I communicate, and I'm in the hands of a greater consciousness. So that which is expressed through my human mouth is usually connected to something else. It's not just me in here. Quite often there's something else going on that is assisting me to communicate that which maybe you need to hear from a human person. And so today's live is really to offer you an opportunity, if you'd like, to receive some insight. When we use the term insight, sometimes, not always, but sometimes that insight involves some psychic information that refers to future events or potential. And I want to say openly that I tell people, because for me personally, it's really important to understand the distinction that future prediction in itself is kind of like with economics and the weather, right? It's like it's a prediction. It's not necessarily guaranteed. And yes, it's about knowing where you're headed and what it is that might be coming for you. Me and Spirit have dialogued with this for quite some time, obviously, because those of you who don't know, I personally have an academic background, a little bit more scientific, mechanical. I'm very much interested personally with the structure of things. Those of you who understand the galactic time-space continuum and the associated grid of connection that we have or weave there, that makes me more Arcturian in this incarnation cycle. So I do tend to lean into a lot more mechanical, structural, scientific. I'm curious as to how things are woven together and what it is that is structured, why we're structured the way that we are. So when I read for you, a lot of the reading that I gift you with is not so much in the energetic sense, feeling, state of emotions always. Sometimes it is. Maybe that's what you need, because it can also go there. But often me and my spiritual intelligence comes through with me. Education is our focus. Our focus is to support you with whatever it is that you need to hear, so that you might find your way through life with greater ease and greater success. And I land on success as I say that. I feel my spidey senses going, aha, success. We're going to land on that as a word. Success in itself is a discussion, right? Like, what's success for you? Maybe we've been told by parents or by society or by your friendship groups or by a teacher that when you're successful in something, it means that you've ticked particular boxes. And those particular boxes, yes, they are there, but success in itself is a negotiation process. So Spirit just asked me to share with you that when I was quite young, I was involved in gymnastics, and I did gymnastics for a number of years, and I did that quite successfully. I was in a couple of interstate teams, and I competed to a reasonable level when I was quite young in gymnastics. And gymnastics in itself was quite a journey, as if any of you are dancers or creatives, you'll know that gymnastics in itself, there's a lot of structure there, there's a lot of technique, and there's a lot of rigid discipline. And so with that discipline, I was told that these are the types of things that you need to be successful at it. But the thing is that I reached all of those goals, and at the end of it, I didn't feel satisfied. And, you know, obviously I was a little girl, and my little girl self needed a lot more expression, needed a lot more free movement, but the structure of the gymnastic realm was very structured, very rigid. And so for me personally, I navigated my way through that, not feeling quite successful at it, even though I was quite highly successful at that by other people's standards. So success in itself can be it's a dialogue. You know, it's a dialogue that you need to have with yourself. What does success mean for you? Where do you feel satisfied with that which is emerging for you? Because that is what's quintessentially a point. And so we haven't had any comments yet. As I may have mentioned, internet connectivity is something that gets a bit patchy during these Facebook Lives, so forgive me if this is dropping in and out. I do see that there are some people popping in, but if you'd like, well, I would actually ask you if you can write some comments just to let me know that you're there, and maybe let me say hi to you. If you don't feel like you want to, that's also okay. You can just keep watching. My flow here is very much flow energy, because that's what intuition offers us. It's an opportunity to go, okay, cool, there's space here. And as I lean into that space, I start to notice that there's maybe something in the space. Maybe there's not, maybe there's just more space. So let me just say hi. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for saying hello. Sarah as a name is a rose frequency name, for those of you who are interested in the rose frequency and the sacred lineage attached to rose frequency. Sarah, Anna is also, and Mary, obviously these are names that do align very much with rose frequency. So hi Sarah, thank you for saying hello. I appreciate your comment. If you have a question that you'd like me to tune in for you as a reader, then please leave a comment. Otherwise, space, intuitively, we will fill it until I feel like we're done. And so it's funny that actually, as I say that, I see in my mind a microphone, and it's a specific microphone. It's an old-fashioned microphone. And when I see the old-fashioned microphone, I actually do think about my dad, because my dad has a music background, and I was raised with him having a recording studio attached to the background. And so as I kind of lean into that, the feeling sense that I have with the microphone is about opportunity to speak out and to speak up and to use maybe this as a platform. And so as I lean into that and I stand on this platform, because obviously I'm standing on a platform and I have your attention, whether you're tuning in live or not, this platform is being provided for me to voice that which maybe needs to be here. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. But if you're tuning in and listening, maybe it needs to be said to you. And so as I continue speaking with my spidey senses open and active, I actually see in the background my singing bowl. And I see that my singing bowl behind that is it's the thing that I use to make the singing bowl sing. And so singing, as I land on singing, the message that I feel like I want to deliver to whoever is listening is about singing, actually. And we talked before about the microphone. You might see a theme building here. The microphone, using it as a platform, using the voice. The Sacred Feminine Rising very much is about voicing and what voicing means. And so if you feel like you've had an idea or a stimulation to go and sing, whether it's you get a song stuck in your head that belongs to your past, your childhood, that you feel like you need to sing, whether or not it's you just put on a song and then suddenly you just feel like you need to sing along, or whether or not you're actually looking for like a circle of people who sing, these are actually in alignment. I'm seeing the wave frequency. They're in alignment with what we call the Sacred Feminine Rising, which is reconnection to that part of us that communicates and expresses itself creatively. And this is a power. This is a power that we all have, the ability to use our voice to express ourselves creatively. And often when there's a block or a system that tells us that there's no space for us to communicate, whether it be that you're in a relationship where you're not able to communicate freely, or you happen to be on a platform where you feel like nobody's listening, then you may be drawn to singing to help move the energy. Because as we sing, our voice box vibrates, and that vibrate starts to move the energy that might be blocked in there. And sometimes we can't tackle things directly on. Sometimes the person opposite us that we feel is suppressing us, or that is somehow by their influence around us, is meaning that I'm not as freely voicing as maybe I feel like I'd like to if I was in my natural self without the inhibitions of the external world. And so from that perspective, if I sit with myself and I feel the sense of I've got congestion here, then there's a part of you that knows how to find equilibrium. There's a part of you that knows how to find harmonic resonance with your greater self. There's a part of you that is deeply desiring to be more, deeply desiring to be expanded, deeply desiring to be outward expressing your deeper truth. And when I land on deeper truth, I know some people get a bit triggered by some of the spiritual terminology that is used. We're asking you to just sit back and kind of ease that part of you that gets triggered by a number of, catchphrases that has been harnessed by certain organizations to sell you things. We're asking you to bring yourself back into the resonance patterning of your own heart. I call it the deeper well, your own heart. And your own heart, she is rich. She is multi-dimensional, i.e. she has a lot going on with her in her system. She has tethers to the conversation that you've had across your life that might have happened at the age of 2 or the age of 5 or the age of 7 or the age of 9 or the age of 52, however old, right? The heart has memory. It has tethers. It has contracts of conversation with individuals in your life and also in the memory of the interactions that you may have had in the past. And so a good way to get some of these layers in a sense where we can maybe create greater flow for us and greater passion in our lives and greater enlivenment in our system, a greater vitality within our own cellular DNA. We need to harness the energy of the expressive self to get this stuff moving. So singing, voicing, getting the movement energy allows us to access our deeper well more personally, which means that you get a greater sense of self and you'll feel a greater sense of, yeah, there I am. Right there is where I am. And Spirit is reminding me that for some people, singing is not really their creative outlet. Maybe dancing is more your creative outlet. My own personal experience with that is that I've always been a dancer. Dancing has always been something that I've gone to. It absolutely is my magic. In fact, I always joke with people that my first language is not English. My first language was dance. And for me personally, because of my own journey with movement and connecting in with music and moving, I feel quite fortunate that for most of my journey from the age of 0 to now, I have always had this sense connection with my body and with movement in my body. And not all of us have that journey. But I can't say the same thing about my ability to sing. And you may be the same with your ability to dance, that maybe at some point someone shut you down. Maybe at some point someone took away your own ability to express that beautiful, soft, squishy center, that deeper well of you. Maybe something happened where you felt like somehow moving that energy from the center of you into the outer world was not welcome in that way. And I feel very sad actually as soon as I say that, me personally, not the spirit oneness, but I, Dana Parker, woman incarnated here, as I voice myself, I recognize that I feel intrinsically saddened when I hear of people's stories where they say to me, Dana, I actually can't dance. In fact, I've got classes that come up, and often when I say to people, I'm a tango teacher, they say to me in response, oh, I can't dance. And immediately something in my head goes, who told you that? Who is it that told you that big, massive, fatalistic lie? Because babies dance. Babies dance. They dance in the womb. We dance in the womb. Movement is our birthright. It is, you can dance without limbs. You can dance as long as you have breath in your body. You can move. Movement is a vital part of our experiencing. Singing is a way of voicing that which is maybe a little bit more evolved than movement. Movement is much closer to our soft and squishy center, which is why it makes for such an excellent somatic therapy, why it helps people so much to dive into experiencing where they feel some restriction in their lives, where they feel maybe a lack of safety in their body and their experience in the physical world. And what they really need is they really need to reclaim their ability to move. And when we talk about the ability to move energy, we are also talking about that feeling of being stuck in your life, we're also talking about that feeling of not having enough and not being enough, and somehow there's no opportunities here for you that will leave you feeling satisfied, because you've got to find where your voice lies. And a good practice is to reclaim your dance, your ability to move in space and time. And for some of you, that may simply be finding a breathwork teacher and leaning into the breath and leaning into the movement that comes with breathing. Spirit's asked me to remind you that I do have a YouTube channel, Dharma Spirit Butterfly, and there are some YouTube videos there that help you with some guided breath work. There's a number of them there. They do different things. The one that a lot of people benefit from is something called a 4-7-8 breath. And there is a video there that talks a little bit about that. But if you have trouble sleeping, if you have trouble because the energy of the external world is pulling you outward, pulling you into feeling anxious, and you have a desire to be on your own, then that 4-7-8 breath is a really great way to bring yourself back to alignment in the state of presence that gifts you with peace, some peace in your system. But of course, there's a lot more to that than just breathing, because breathing does some amazing things for our physical body. It does some amazing things for our mental mind mapping system, i.e. it calms it the fuck down. I like swearing in my personal life, but Spirit's asked me to be a little bit more mindful of the external environment. So anyway, hi, I'm going to call you Francie because you're on Facebook. Hi, Francie. Thanks for tuning in, darling. If you've got a question, please comment. Otherwise, Spirit will guide me as to what it is that we want to talk about. I just noticed my voice got really soft. And as I do that, I actually feel a sense of a memory actually of my aunt. And you may or may not know this. I have two sisters. I feel great about having two sisters because it makes the work that I do with women even more so perfect. That my mother also has two sisters. So my mum comes from three girls in a line. My mum is the last, the youngest, and I'm the one that is in the middle in my group. And so when I lean into the whole softly talking, I'm remembering that the differences between the sisters, and these would be my two aunts and my mother, and how one of them was the spiritual one. She would always talk softly. And I would always be like, why are you talking softly? But because she would talk softly, I would lean in a little bit more further. And it's a funny thing, you know, I teach this actually in my tango classes, that if you're really loud in your physical movement, really loud and expressive and always loud, that sometimes people can't get close enough to you to be able to listen because they don't, there's no reason for them to, you know, you're already doing the work for them. It's a bit one-sided, you know. I'm making sure that they hear me. And Spirit's reminding me that we are currently on a journey of remembering, maybe you don't remember it, but remembering that when we are in conversation with people, that we don't need to yell at people who are genuinely ready to hear what it is that we have to say. And so I feel a sense of recognition that what it is that and if you'd like, you might want to go back to the beginning and watch this video again. I see that I've already been on for 18 minutes. And I'm just laughing because Spirit just pointed out something for me personally around some of the numbers on my screen. So I feel like I'm just going to slowly start to wrap up. If there's no questions, I will slowly start to wrap this up. Thank you for tuning in and for listening to a little bit of my dialogue. We've been mostly working in the psychic field rather than the mediumistic field, just so that you know there is a difference. Also that I've been working a little bit into the what's called the clairs. And I teach people about the clairs, otherwise known as the psychic discernment language. It's a really great way. It's a really great way to step into the dialogue of spirit and to start to recognize that we don't just have physical voices with physical words and separate others to communicate with, and then an inner voice that I talk to. There's actually also other layers to us and to our systems. And beyond that, we also have connection to the spirit world. And a lot of people are quite nervous about working with the spirit world, and that's partially because it is non-physical. There aren't physical people with physical words, physical mouths speaking at you. But I want to kind of gift you with this scenario, this idea that when you're having a conversation with someone and the words are coming out of your mouth and you can sense that there's something not quite fully being disclosed by that person with the words. And so people often and can quite easily use words outwardly that say certain things to you logically and rationally, but underneath that, there's nuance. Underneath that, there's subtlety. Underneath that, there is a sense of there being something else going on. And so the benefit to understanding the psychic field and understanding psychic language discernment and how to work with it can actually gift you with a lot more awareness of this phenomenon, and also awareness of how you situate yourself in space and time and where your communication points lie. Because we often don't communicate with our mouths only. There's often a lot of other interpersonal information that is exchanged that is also non-physical. So I'm not just talking about body language. And there are some people who do believe and also actively promote that psychic readers do something called cold reading, which means that they read someone who has particular facial features and looks a particular way. And that's actually how you get psychic reading wrong. I cannot tell you how many times I have sat opposite a psychic who has tried to read my energy and has fallen into this pit hole of reading what it is that I actually show up as rather than reading the psychic energy. And I can do something different, and I do know how to do something different, and I was trained by a whole lot of others who know how to do other things and do indeed connect into something that's a lot more non-physical and is way beyond what's called cold reading. And so this is something that only you can experience for yourself. And so a good way to do that is to maybe book a session with me. If you'd like to reach out around that, then I'm very happy to do that. I also offer circles, and circles are sometimes also opportunities to receive a reading from me, but my preference is for you to learn how to read, for you to learn how your system is designed, for you to learn how your human interacts with the greater picture, and also how to access the deeper well. Because the deeper well is your gift to gift others. It is where your power lies. You are your most potent when you were there. And so let us gift that gift back to you. And so if you'd like to learn more a little bit about that, then please look up my website, www.dana-spirit-butterfly, that's D-A-N-A spiritbutterfly.com. There is a tab there that is about meditation and circles and psychic development, and the sacred rose work that I offer appears there. And so I'm going to send you kisses. And I'm sorry that if you have posted questions and asked me to read for you, I'm sorry that I haven't received any. So if you have them, you receive my apologies. Hi, Steph. I'm just signing off now, but thank you for saying hello. Yeah, I feel like we're done here for now. So maybe tune in another time. Otherwise, I hope that you're all well and that you're choosing to take your time around this time period. We are in the middle of eclipse season and the Mercury retrograde starts tomorrow. So while these things are not absolutely everything, the be all and end all, they are influences around the energetic grid. So just take your time about things, drink lots of good, clean, filtered water, make sure that you're grounding, connecting with the earth, and just be kind to you. My own secret is that it's so much easier to be all of those beautiful things towards others when you are able to do that for yourself and make that primary. You have to live with you 24/7, and you are worthy, you're absolutely valuable, and you're certainly welcome here. So much love from the pocket in Northern Rivers, New South Wales. See you, my sweethearts. Bye.